Hey, good people, welcome back to Couch Conversations. If you've been a part of my journey long enough, then you know that I am a scoliosis survivor. I had a spinal fusion to correct my 80% curve of scoliosis at just 12 years old, which was almost 5 years ago. And now, 5 years later, I still have, some struggles here and there from this journey that I don't always talk about and still have some trouble overcoming mentally. I haven't shared a whole lot of my journey recently with scoliosis, like in a hot minute. And so we're just going to talk about some of the things, that I still experience, and some of like the intrusive thoughts as well that I've had recently about my journey. So like I said, it's been a couple months since I've talked about my scoliosis surgery journey because we hit the ground running coming into 2024 on this channel. But it is still a journey that is very much a part of my life story and who I am. And I honestly don't talk about it as much as I should because it is such a very key element in my life. It is a major event in my life. But the other day I was just thinking about things that I don't think get talked about enough when it comes to having such a major surgery, especially like a spinal fusion. One thing about this journey people don't always understand is how mentally and emotionally draining it is. I mean, I had the greatest childhood. Like, I rarely ever got sick. I've only had the flu like twice. And that was like Christmas 2016, like right before Christmas. I had the flu for the first time, and then I had the flu for the second time after Valentine's Day in 2019. So long time ago, like little girl. So yeah, I rarely got sick, no broken bones. If anything, the most major thing for me is like allergies. But it wasn't until 2018 when, this whole new wave and, journey of physical struggles began when I was first diagnosed with scoliosis. And it was heavy mentally and emotionally because the more pain I was in, the less that I could do and the less strength that I had to walk and stand and honestly just exist as a human every day. And that starts to mess with you because your whole lifestyle is changing at such a young age so soon, and that's a very hard thing to go through so young. And having surgery at 12 kind of forced me in a way to grow up in such ways that I wasn't mentally and emotionally prepared for, even though I feel like I lost my innocence of childhood when I became a PK. So before surgery even was, happening, it was messing with me. And of course, I was a hot emotional wreck during recovery because of all the medication, I was taken for pain after surgery and everything else. I was like gone. And even years after, looking back now, it's still draining. One thing about surgery, it takes time to recover. Like, it's not just an overnight process. Like, when you hear the word surgery, immediately after that is recovery. And if I've had like a very strenuous day, like I'll lay in bed for at least an hour before going to sleep because it just hurts because of all of the tension from the day. Because in my case, your muscles and bones are now in the process of learning how to grow around the hardware and rods and bolts that are put into your back, like your spine, which I still think is absolutely insane. One of my biggest jokes that I kind of like toss around is that I'm screwed up. It's rough because you can only do so much with pain cream. I have other scars on my back due to acne because of other pain creams. Like, holy cow, you can only take so much pain medication too, like within a recommended time period before you're like basically borderline overdosing. I have slept on a heating pad for several years. Like, once I started getting to the point where my stitches like were dissolving and like, things were healing and my skin was closing up, like I slept on a heating pad. And I have not slept without a heating pad. And I don't know when I will sleep without a heating pad. It's just like, my comfort item to me. Like, I'm not going to sleep without that. Even in some of my night routine vlogs that I've posted and updated throughout the years, like every single time I'm gonna turn on that heating pad before I get in the shower so it can be hot when I get out, okay? So continuing on with the mental and emotional drain that it causes, I must say that my surgery and the trauma I had and still have just a little bit has contributed to that anxiety in ways that I never felt ready for. I mean, between two losses, a surgery, like, I consider myself a basket case, like a very emotional person. Also, a huge thing for me, needles scare my soul, always will. I still have the scars from the various places that I was stuck all throughout surgery week. And, just that trauma that it causes can start taking you on this path of thinking you can't ever do something again. When I had surgery, and really just after that, I put up a huge physical barrier on myself, and it's been there for a while. I feel like I've loosened up just a little bit. I'm cautious and very protective of myself because I never want to have to be in the predicament of having to do this again. Like, the thought of being opened up again and just all of that scares my soul. And yeah, I doubt it will happen, but my Lord, the first time was terrifying to my entire soul. And it's even more scary when you feel so stressed that you're about to die because you're literally suffocating, like shaking. And it has been, in many ways, although like I wish that none of this ever happened, it has given me a whole new community of people to kind of, associate with, being a scoliosis sister, being in the Scoliosis Squad, you know what I'm saying? And being in a community with other people who have experienced the same thing as me, and just the strength that it takes from you is unbelievable. And the strength that I had compared to the strength I have now is very, very different. And yeah, it was painful, obviously. And the aftermath 5 years later is, still wonky, weird, because my nerves have not even completely healed in my back yet. Things I wish people understood about the spinal fusion scoliosis people, at least for me, that's what it was. That was my treatment option, is that this journey and surgery isn't just it and everything is okay. Like, yes, it gave me my life back, but it takes time. Like, muscle spasms are still a very huge thing for me. I could be anywhere, like at any given time or day, and a muscle spasm can happen. It could be at school, at church, at home, on vacation sometimes. Like, it just depends. And so it feels like muscle spasms feel like someone is pinching you or stabbing you. At least that's what it feels like for me. It is absolutely terrible. But in the moment, I may be fine. For instance, is wearing heels. The only time I mostly wear platform heels, like my tallest heels, is on Sundays. And those shoes don't hurt my feet. But when I lay down at night, like, my back definitely pays for that. I still hate walking long distances, and I still hate walking for long periods of time. I did not realize how hard your back muscles work until having surgery, because when you feel that tension up against your rods, Lord have mercy. And I think especially being a Christian preteen at the time, going through this surgery, and then, recovering as a teenager, like coming into teenage years, I think it with that combined, it's that lesson of, just because God has saved your life doesn't mean that there won't be a journey of recovery after he's saved you. And there's several times off and on where I hear, you should be okay by now. But it hasn't always been like that. Should I be okay? Should it be okay? Yes, I think that it should, because it's honestly been almost 5 years. Like, this has been way too long. And I think that also just is a message to people to like not criticize people's steps if you haven't walked in their shoes. You know, sometimes I really do miss the younger version of me, like the pre-surgery, innocent, physical version of me, you know, because the after surgery me is a whole new ball game and ordeal to just tackle even 5 years later. But I will say, like, one of the things it has done for me is it made me a skinny mini, honestly, and gave me like my figure that I have now. Because before surgery, I would gain weight and didn't know what was happening. And in reality, it was my spine curving. And at the time I didn't know it was scoliosis. I did not know. My parents did not know either. And so that is why, like, during that era, I would wear like oversized clothing, because it kind of got to me. But after surgery, of course, after surgery, I had a lot of swelling. So I was wearing lots of oversized clothes, sweatpants, and I also had like surgery in the summertime. So me in sweatpants was the most comfortable, but I was also hot. So yeah, I was like still finding my appetite again, still like deciding like, okay, what can I eat? What can I not eat? And so just fluctuating between different weights, and then the swelling went down and my body weight, like I lost a couple pounds after surgery. And so now it has given me like the gorgeous figure that I have now. And so I will say I'm very satisfied with that, especially like in my teen years. And y'all can tell like in the pictures that I post and take, like that's like unedited, my full figure. This surgery made me taller, and I was wearing the same pants after surgery that I wore before at the time. And that was really crazy to me. Like, once I started wearing like pants again, I put on the pants that I was wearing before surgery, but I was taller. That just messed with my mind. That really altered my brain chemistry. I just had some thoughts, you know, about my journey that I wanted to talk about, because I don't think a lot of people understand the journey of scoliosis. And, you know, it can happen without you even knowing it is. And that was the case for me. My parents and I had no clue that this was an ongoing issue, but it explained all of the growth spurts that I had, because I thought I was like having all these growth spurts when really scoliosis was starting to get to me, and I didn't know it was a thing until it was. But this vlog is just a dump for my thoughts and basically, you know, the behind the scenes of my journey. It takes more out of you than you'd ever think and expect that it does, and you really can't explain or describe it until you've been in that predicament. Although it has been very painful, I know that God had to take me down this path to save my life. And initially, since the very beginning, when I was diagnosed with scoliosis, I never at any point, at least I don't remember, like asking God, like, why would he allow me to go through something like that? I knew he had a purpose and a plan for all of this, you know. And sometimes on the hard days now, like physically, I don't understand, and sometimes I forget. But me living with scoliosis untreated would be so much worse than getting a surgery and just trying methods of pain management. So thank you guys for listening. It has been a while since I've talked about my journey. These are just some of the things that I've never really kind of talked about. I don't talk about this journey as often as I used to, and it still sometimes is an emotional roller coaster to ride, which is why I feel like the times that I share this are far and few in between. And especially being in a recent season of grief waves and just kind of missing my pop, I've been trying to not let my mind stray off too far. And we will talk about that a little bit later, probably next week. But I hope you guys have an amazing weekend and a great, successful week. I'll see you guys later.